we're delving even deeper into SQL, structured query language. We're just like people in a submarine. The deeper we go, the lower our chances of survival if something goes bad. In a certain depth, your lungs will burst, you're dead meat. But we're headed down. But I'm in control of this ship. You can have all the confidence in the world, although you don't seem to have it. But trust me, you can. But what we're going to happen, as I told you, is we're going to work through SQL. We're going to learn some also about databases because we're working with the mother of all databases, and that's our friend Access. And we're going to be doing some work tonight, chapter 3. We're going to be working on compound conditions in the where clause. What we've done so far is we've learned about, we use a select query to get stuff out of a table. We identify the fields, i.e. the that we want to get. We tell the table we want to get. And then we might set up an we might use a Boolean operator by where the month equals August or something of that nature. Well, now we're going to do some compounding of that. So we make the search, the extraction, a little more complex. Okay? If that makes any sense. Does it? Or do I sound like a lunatic? Okay. Well, obviously then I haven't been drinking. So thank you. Appreciate you confirming that for me. I'm just making jokes. When I make jokes about drinking, it's a joke, okay? It's all it is. It's a joke. You know, the person the person here in the college has a drinking problem is the dean. But don't share that. He's a black man, but yeah, that's bagpipes. I'm just making fun of him because he's a dean. People made fun of me when I was a dean. They make fun of me now, and they're right to do so. We're working on lunches database number 3, and we're here in module 4. And we did 2, and I did 2 in that second screencast. So what we're going to do tonight? About an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes, boom, we're done. And then I'll do a follow-up, and we're going to cover 3, and I'll probably take us on into lunches database number 4. But each of these chapters, it gets progressively more complex in terms of the query. And the whole idea of this is as we extract more and more data with a query, okay, the more efficient this becomes. And also, as you see, we're gonna learn, as a byproduct of this, we're gonna learn a whole lot more about how databases work and why we're doing what we're doing. Now, I have some other things that we'll be looking at as we start to move through the course, looking at some business intelligence ideas and things of that nature. But we're still in that process. We have a data warehouse, and we're getting stuff out of it. If we don't capture the right stuff, then all of our efforts go for naught, which is why you are here. You're the decision makers, you're the brain power, and you're the people who have to have the capability to say, here's what I need to know. It's the job of the IT people, or it's the job of the software that your vendor supplies to get you that data. Following? And there's 2 ways that you get the data. One of them is you go to college 4 years and you figure out, oh, okay, there's some things and consistencies in that particular discipline. And then you go to work, and given the industry you're in, the company you're in, et cetera, the environment, you find that some of it works and some of it doesn't. Okay? And so, do I tell you that every single type of query that we run will ever do it? No. But you'll encounter 95% of all this. And along the way, you look ahead in some of the modules. We're going to work with Oracle. You get a chance to work with Oracle. You get a chance to work with SAS, Visual Analytics. You have some opportunities to do some things. Maybe do a little data cleaning, work with some big data. And so you'll have a good idea of what we can do with this thing called data. And the course is called Data Administration for a particular reason. The reason is this is not about programming. It's about understanding how I use the tool. Does it give me, how does it add to the business proposition, the value proposition I have for my customers? If I'm making cars, and I can only offer, if I'm making cars, and I'm Henry Ford, and people say, what color can I get the car in? Henry Ford said you can get the car in any color you want, as long as it's black. Why? Because that was the only car on the planet. If you're Apple and people say, gee, I'd like this in the music store, if they've got it in the music store, you download it and you buy it. It's the same story. So this is about how do I use this data to enhance the choices, plus how do I use it to track transactions that occur. And that's why we're going to do some transaction analysis and look at some of those things, like or geographic dispersion, like we looked at. So let's look at chapter 3. It's going to start over there on page 83, okay? And this is this is in your Bible. Here's your book. You people the book? Have your book with you? Okay. Very good. We're going to start chapter 3 now. The good news is we can download, we have those files. So you'll want to get the Patrick files, and you want to get chapter 3, the text. And so we're going to work with the text files again. And we're going to get our friend SQL 2007. Okay? And then I'm going to get the text files for chapter 3. And open that up, and I'm going to move the text files out here so I can run the code. Now, SQL Fund 2007. Now, you're going to want to name this SQL 2007, and I would rename it LD3. So you know that it's Lunch's Database 3. But notice what we're doing. Every single week, we work with the same database, with the same tables, right? But we use different code. That's a data warehouse. The value of information is that it's infinitely workable, meaning I can extract it, I can analyze it, information, and I can use it in so many ways I don't even know. I'll give you a good example. How many of you here are passionate followers of the King? Not Michael Jackson, but Elvis Presley. Anybody? Okay. No friends, anybody ever heard of Elvis Presley? Okay, a few people have heard of Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, okay, when he died, I guess maybe 6 months after he died, they opened up Graceland to let people go through. My mother, who was a big fan of Elvis Presley, why, I do not know, okay? I suspected that my mother was one of those people who dropped acid in the 60s. I could never prove it, okay? But I suspected it. But she loved Elvis Presley. And so I was there in Cape. It was about 2 hours, 3 hours from Memphis. So we went to Memphis to see his mansion. We went through his, and you looked at it, I thought, this is his mansion. We saw his plane. That was nothing. Okay, I'm thinking, what did he do with all of his money? Well, his widow came in and his daughter, and they took and they marketed his products. And they understood they had one thing. They had his image and they had his catalog. And now Elvis is worth 20 times more than he ever was when he was selling 1 million records a week and people were going nutty over it. Especially digital products. It's the same thing with all these people. Like that little, what's that little blonde-headed gal? What's her name? Taylor Swift? She's mad at, is it Kanye West she's always fighting with? Well, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. I look at Kanye and I look at her, and I'll tell you what. I think they need to put her in a UCF cage and let them go at it. I'm putting my money on her. She got them long fingernails, and she looks a little, she's kind of scrawny, but she looks a little bit feisty. I think she might take him down. That's just an idea. Just, I'm not saying that I'd promote that kind of fight or violence, but hey, but why is she popular? Well, she's everywhere, and she's learned how to get paid. So part of this is understanding that information is inherently valuable. That's why you have Civ courses. You learn about Dante over and over. Poor Dante. Did you know in Civ, Dante's been to hell 1,000 times at least, and then some. How many of you taken Civ? Did you do Dante? You know who Dante is? Okay. What'd you think about that, his travels? Pretty cool? No? Overrated? You didn't read it? Oh, you watched it? Did you have like a movie or something, or one of them things? Or you just didn't read it, you winged it. Okay. All right. Anyway, we've got our data warehouse here, this thing called SQL Fund 2007. We've got the LD3, we've renamed it, and we have our code from the Anderson text, and that's the code for chapter 3. Notice something, the table has not changed. The code is what has changed. And one of the powerful things about information technology, especially databases, is I can take a table, I can store it, and I can write 1,000,000 bits of code and plumb that data over and over and over and over again. Which means it's like a money machine. If I can identify your preferences for shoes, I can probably start identifying your preferences for a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm going to start trying to make some sales. That's this whole concept. It's what this is all about. Well, let's look at this. Let's open up SQL Fund, and then we'll look at this code we're going to run. That's over in the exam, and that's chapter 3, and we're going to do compound conditions in the where clause. Not W-A-R-E, or not W-E-A-R, but W-H-E-R-E. Now listen, let me tell you something. You take it from me. There's a homonymal agenda for America, and you need to be careful. Watch those homonyms. Be alert. So where? So we're going to look at the where condition. And if you take a look at middle page 83, 85, you're going to see it. We see some Boolean definitions. A and B is true only when both are true. A or B is true when either one is true, or not A is true when A is false. You can see these 3 different Boolean conditions. This is important to understand because this tells us the variety of ways we can test data to see if it meets our criteria. If I have 1,000,000 records and I have these 3 ways to test, I've got 3 ways I can run data, check those data out, and I'm going to have some stuff pop up called the law of large numbers. Now, let's look first of all over there at the bottom page 86, and we're going to be looking at, this is 3.1, okay, and I'll enable the content. And so I'm going to grab my code. If you take a look there in the files, and you go to the Patrick files, there's a zip file, okay? And you're going to find the SQL Fund, and you'll find the code for each chapter. Did you see it? Download the zip file and you'll find it. Everybody else with me? Yes? No? Okie dokie. I've got this open, and I'm going to grab my code. Now, this is 3.1, and like I said, this is at the bottom of page 86. Now, this is what they call Oracle and Access. It's a dual code. Oracle and Access both use our structured query language. They have some nuances and a little bit of differences, but most of the time we can run the same code whether we're running Oracle or we're running Access. So I'm going to copy this, okay? And I'm going to throw this into the database. And I'm going to click Create. And I'm going to come over here to Query Design. I'll go to the SQL. I'm going to run the code. Now, let's look at what we add. We asked to find out, we want the employee's ID, and we want their first name, their last name, and their manager's ID. That's all we were doing there. Now, I can look at the code in the bottom of 86, and I can see that, because if I look at the statement and notice what's going on here, okay? I've got it highlighted for you here so you can see it. I'm going to select employee ID, comma, that says continue on to the machine, first name, last name. We want the ID of their manager from the employees table. And then notice we use the where statement, but we do it using a compound clause where not the ID of the manager's ID is 203. In other words, we say if the manager's ID is 203, we don't want it. Or if the manager's ID is null, there's nothing entered. Are you with me? Okay. Yes? Question? Anybody? There are no stupid questions in here. So if you got a question, ask me now. Okay. Where can I buy liquor? I'm under 21. I won't tell you that at all. But I can walk in those places and I can identify them only because I bought it for other people, never for me. So we selected the employee ID, and the employee ID and those are the fields, and then the employees is the table. And then we put two conditions. The first condition is we don't want anybody who works for manager 203. The second is if the manager's ID is null, it doesn't have a number or anything entered, we don't want that. And it's a compound because we have the word or there. Got it? You see it? Yes? No? Right now, you know more than 80% of the people you'll ever work with or work for or who will work for you about how this all works. That's what will make you special. That's what will make you better, because you will get paid to make decisions and you will be paid to understand how these tools work. Believe me, I can tell you. Now, we're going to call this thing, I'm going to save it as 3-1. I'm going to call it task 3-1. Task 3-1. This isn't that big of a deal, but if it's 1 million records, I've got some data here. I might be interested in finding out who works for who, how many employees report to that person. So we'll close this jewel off and we'll go take a look over at the bottom of page 87 and top of page 87, and they show us, remember, the beginning table and then the result table. So when I talk about extracting the data, notice always that the beginning table is much bigger than the result table. Now, when we get to the end of this, we're going to start joining tables together and we'll produce more tables than we had before. But for now, we're extracting data out. Okay? Let's pop over there and take a look at top page 89. Okay? And let us look at 3.2 version number 2. Now the authors are going to walk you through these different versions. Here's some different ways to accomplish the same task when they ask us to extract some data. Let's look at this first of all. Up here at page 89, we're using the not within condition. And what there's meaning is, what we're meaning is we want the exact. We're going to choose anything that's the exact opposite of when we say not. Got it? That's why the authors have that color in there for version 2, okay? And that's not between or not like or not is null. So let's pull that up and take a look at it. And just look at for a moment, and I'll show you what we're looking at. We're getting the same stuff. We're getting all the employee ID, first name, last name, manager ID, employees table. Everybody with me there so far? You say it cannot be this easy. Yes, it is. How do you know? You have a moron teaching you. It's true. The first 10 years we lived here, I lived in Moore. I was a moron. And then when I moved across into Oklahoma City, I was named an honorary moron. I am a moron. So we've got same set of data from this table, and then we start to add some conditions. We don't want anybody whose department code is accounting or marketing. We don't want anybody whose last name is between J and M, and we don't want anybody whose name is like S. Now let's take a look at this for just a moment. I want to show you something. In this case, we're using the S. We use a single quote, the asterisk, the S, and a close quote. What that means is we want everybody whose last name ends with an S, does not end with an S, excuse me, because I have that quote and I have the asterisk, which means it's a wild card, and so S will be the last. I want everybody whose last name does not end with an S, excuse me. And then again, with the issue where the managers, I don't want anybody whose manager ID is null, empty. So let's run this and see what we get. We've put some pretty specific conditions in this. So we're going to click create. We'll do the query design, close it, and we'll run it. Okay. Now, did we get what we wanted? Yes. As we add more conditions on, the greater the specificity we get as we do the extraction from the table. Let me give you another example. I'd like to get a list of all the phone calls made from a certain Chicago area code within the time frame of 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. to Yemen. Why would I be interested in those calls? Well, there's a diner in Yemen that does fantastic takeout. They'll deliver it right to your door. Then I get greater specificity. I ask, this is why they had all of you, if you heard or even followed it about the metadata. Then I'd say, well, okay, if it's a certain area code, could you give me the prefix, the first 3 digits of that number? Well, okay. Now I've got can you tell me the GPS coordinate where that phone call went to? Why would I want to do that? Huh? Are you talking about my country? Drone strike? No, we're going to send them a care package. We're going to take a corrective measure. Drone strike, that's a harsh way to put it. Sure. Or we just want to know where they're at. We may want to follow them so they lead us to other people. So I'm giving you kind of a real life example of that. Or I want to find every female between the age of 18 and 35, let's say 18 and 22, who listens to Taylor Swift and also buys their clothes at, I don't know, wherever, and watches a certain television show on cable. Let's say, how many of y'all watch Yes to the Dress? You ever heard of the show? Yes to the Dress. Yeah, my wife watches that every Saturday. Yes to the Dress. You know, it upsets me. I never got to choose what dress I wore for my wedding. I'd wear a tuxedo. I need to have all my friends there go, oh, I can't, that's showing too much. Yes to the Dress. So as we target down, we can identify a potential user of our product, somebody wanting to sell the product to. So we can make recommendations to them. If you go to Amazon and you buy stuff from them, they just do that all the time. You just build their database for them. That's all you're doing. Well, we've got that query, and we're going to call that now 3-2. And you can see these variations. We'll call it 3-2 variation. Not that big of a deal. Everybody got what I've got? Now you can see the beginning table and then the ending table, where the results set at the bottom. And there we are. The capability that you're going to have when you're reaching mid-career stage, and it will happen faster than you can. The next 20 years for you is going to be a blur. It was for me. It's going to be mortgages, marriage, kids, a few divorces sprinkled here or there. Unfortunately, I pray not, but probably. Some of you will strike it rich, do very well. Some of you do well. I hope all of you strike it rich, but I hope all of you have the life you want. And the most important thing is this: as it happens, enjoy it. Because every stage of life's got its points where you can enjoy it or not. But the bottom line here is this: by the time you hit mid-career, when you're in your 40s, the capabilities of these databases and all this information technology we have will be so unbelievable. Your kids are going to laugh at you for carrying a phone around. They're going to laugh at you for carrying around a computer. They go, why did you carry that stuff? Are you stupid? Because you'll have a device. Probably you'll have something implanted biologically that you can snap your finger and that wall becomes my screen. And they'll have the technology perfected that wall, I will be the one who could see it unless I care to share it. And you look at me and you go, that's crazy. It's going to happen. When I was your age, if someone had said I could go to Hulu and I could binge watch the Three Stooges for 24 hours a day, I just said, that's a fantasy. It will only happen in heaven. Anybody here heard of the Three Stooges? Yeah, good stuff, huh? Yep. Yeah. Some of the physical violence of the Three Stooges, that's probably not politically correct today, but they got what they deserved in some ways. Okay, so we've worked through that 3.2 version. We pop over here, we're going to see it get more complex. Look at page 41, okay? And we're going to look at 3.3. Now it starts to get a little bit more complex. So I'm going to highlight 3.3 for you. Now notice what's going on. We see a query that looks pretty normal, the first one. Then what's next? I say the credit limit equals $30, and then what happens? I say what? What's next? What word is there? Select where the manager ID is null. I'm going to go to the first one. Credit first name is Susan. Credit limit is 30. Then what? What words? What word? Or. Powerful word. Or. Then notice how we begin to even further refine what we want. Or not. The hire date is null, and the credit limits between 10 and 50, and the last name, Smith, Jacobs, Patrick, and not a department code for shipping. Or the credit limits greater than 22, and the hire date is null, or employee ID is greater than 700, and the department code is sales or marketing, and the manager ID is 400. Woo! That's a hunk. You see all that? I'm looking for a first baseman who has an on-base percentage of above 400, who has a batting average of around 300, who hits 21 homers a year, who bats left-handed, because I got a short porch in my right field, and makes 10 or fewer errors a year. If I find one of those, I've got my first person in my infield. I've got the cornerstone, and now I'm ready to build around him. Notice how I used all those analytics to find that person? How many of us are athletes in here? Do your coaches use analytics? They show you you get game film and stuff like that and break it down. Okay, your individual performances. Okay, you're using analytics. It's just a matter of how much money and how many statisticians you got sitting over there, and people will come in and coach and say, now, in this frame, your left foot wasn't right. Or for a pitcher, in this frame, it appears that when you're going to use your split finger fastball, your fingers weren't positioned properly, or you signal to the batter because they could see your fingers. It's just a matter of how much money and analytics they start to bury in there. Well, this is a good example of this. Look at all these qualifications we caught. And if you look at the bottom of page 91, take a look. Here's your table, and there's your results set. The more conditions we put in, the greater, the smaller the results set. Now, here's something that's an interesting thing. Anybody here a OU football fan? Oh my goodness, just one or two of us? Nobody else is. Are you OSU fans? Texas fans? Notre Dame fans? Nobody likes the Irish in here? What are you pro football fans, college football fans at all? Who? TCU? Okay. Anybody else? A&M? Who else? Any Bama fans? No, Bama fans? How about Auburn fans? Oh my goodness. Any USC fans? Oregon? Got cool uniforms. I love Oregon. So what's your point? Here's something interesting. Jalen Hurts. Anybody know who he is? Quarterback at OU. Jalen shows up. They interview him after the end of the game. They beat somebody by 40 points. He goes, we could get better. Jalen, you just threw for 300 yards. How you feel? I could do better. At this point in 3 games, his passing percentage, his average amount of yardage running, and his average amount of passing yards is better than the 3 previous Heisman Trophy winners at OU. And most of the time, in my opinion, Jalen looks like he's about 3 steps too slow. Now, it's either that or his line and his receiving core are so fast. And look, they played UCLA. Those boys in California play football. Those are studs. They're not dummies that they recruit to go to school there, and they're not just a bunch of punks. And did you see what they did to him? They just kind of manhandled him. Jalen just said, "Oh, God, I'll hit you. I'm 240. I can throw the ball 70 yards in the air." The eye test, his analytics and his eye test don't look right. You look up and he's run for 200 and something yards. I'm going, when did that happen? Now, if you look at some of the other running backs that they run for 50 yards and you go, wow, that guy had a game. Analytics. Let's copy this here thing and let's throw it in. Let's see what we get. Question? No? We're going to click create. Redesign. And here we go. And we're going to run it. And look at that. After all of that code, we only extracted 2 names. Why do you suppose that happened? Talk to me, tell me. Huh? Okay, because of the very detailed search, because I set the qualifiers exceptionally detailed and I targeted on what I was after. And I had the data to target. That was the table. Right? We've been working with the employees table here all along. And we've extracted data. And that employees table is really nothing. You'll see record tables out there that might have 50, 100, 150 200 variables or dimensions. So I've extracted the data. I've got these 3, 2, and this is going to be 3, 3. So I'm going to save it as 3, 3. Not 13, but 3, 3. Now let me tell you something. I understand this seems a, you don't know, you're not quite sure when you see this old guy who's so enthused about running tables and running queries. Let me tell you something. You're smart people. And when you get out to work and you've got to find information or you've got to identify a customer base or you need to try to find product that will meet your needs or you're trying to find out how your competitors are doing, this will make enormous amounts of sense to you because you'll go, oh, this is about me finding stuff and identifying stuff using data that I turn into information. And the extraction points, we're going to work to where we extract. We're going to use more and more sophisticated code to get fewer and fewer records, okay? And then we'll kind of branch out from that and we'll start building tables where we start combining tables and splitting tables and getting even more information. Okay. Let's look over on page 93 real quick. Okay. Now, there's a common mistake here. They've got the parentheses missing on this query. Okay. And so you want to have that included so the machine doesn't misunderstand what you're after. But let's look back over here on page 94. And I want to show you some code in there, walk you through how the machine understands it. Let's take a look at this. It says select everything from the employees table. This is middle of page 94. Where the employee ID is 203, or the employee ID is 204, or the employee ID is 205, and the department code equals sales. And that's the table, and that's what we're going to get. Now the authors give us some notations there explaining what's happening when we use those employees, pardon me, when we use the parentheses and the or statements. Okay? Those of you who are athletes, regardless of what sport you play, if you play a team sport, how many of you, when you first came up, you came to OBU, or if you transferred in, had to adjust your mind to a faster game? How about a more physical game? Football? So people wailed on you a lot harder than they did in high school. The reason is because you're better quality athletes. You got a scholarship. High school, they had what they had. Every high school team you played might have had a couple of people that were maybe pretty good. But now, a lot better guys and gals are playing you because you've all migrated here, right? So the speed changes. And so with that speed comes your ability to engage in something called figure recognition. Do we have a quarterback in here? Okay, you play quarterback. You live or die on your ability to read what's about to happen with the defense, right? Because if you don't read a blitz, you're going to get whooped bad. If your linemen are good and your backs are good, they'll pick up those movements. Now, sometimes the defense will do what? They'll play games with you. And when you're getting ready to throw the ball, you play games with the defender with your eyes, and they think, well, you're going to throw, and then you throw an opposite field, right? You do all of that because you have that figure recognition. That all happens instantly. The machine does the same thing for us in business when we're trying to understand what's happening, say, with a competitor or a transaction or environment, because it can take all that data and process it just like that. But and so you can see over here, you can, as you note how that machine understands that code, it's just going boom, 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 or, and throw it all together, and I've got a result set. That make sense? Now, what will happen in the next 30 or 40 years as you go through your work life? By the way, let me say this. And you go out to work here in 4 or 5 years, pay Social Security. It'll be there for you. Don't worry. It'll be there for you. You seem skeptical. It'll be there for you. You can trust the government. They'll have it there for you. When you go out here in 30 or 40 more years, you're going to encounter uses of databases in ways that you didn't even imagine, like artificial intelligence, like robots or automated systems. And those are all made possible by a database. Anybody ever seen a Google car out mapping an area? They have that little 360 camera, okay? And what they're doing is they're just taking a panoramic, and then they'll run it through their software, and they'll get a street view. And the next thing they do is, once they've got the coordinates for the street view, they'll just simply go get satellite data and match the two of them. So when you and I go and we look at a house or whatever, we can see it from the satellite view, we can see it from the straight view. Just for fun, let's do that real quick here. Want to do that for a second? Just so I can prove a point. I love proving points. Let's do this. Let's open up a new tab and let's go out to Zulia, which is a place to go house hunting, or Zillow, excuse me. Okay. Now I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna find me, see, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And I've got some houses here, and let's see. Now this is gonna be my crib. So, what special kinds of things do I want in here? Well, for sale. Let's see, beds. Got to have 4 or more. Home type. I only want houses. So I'm going to get rid of manufactured. No condos, no multifamily, no apartment, no lots or lands, no townhouses. I want my own private special crib. So I'll click done. Anything more? Yeah. I want, let's see, I want to have a garage. And let's see, it's got to have AC, got to have a pool, got to have waterfront view. Woo, and do I want a view of the city, the park, mountain, whatever? Okay, I've got pool and water view. Let's click done. Now they've got some houses for me. This is database. Plus, now it's matched up geographic coordinates with pictures. I'm good to go. They upload the data to Zelt. Let's look at this first. That's kind of a ragtag thing. Let's find something that's worthy of our time. Here's one, 2.49 million bucks. What do you think? Nice. I like you. What about you? I see myself over there with my Bible, reading Psalms, having my Sunday school people over, maybe the pastor's family if he's nice to me, talking about my tithe. Nice house, huh? Now, can I go through that? Well, let's take a look. Yep, I can, because it's going to let me query. Woo, look at that. I got a water view. That's not bad. Nice entrance. I like that. Oh, I like that cabana. Now, here we took a view from above. I think I got a nice crib here. Got some trees and stuff. Got a little bit of privacy. Got a lake back there. What do you think? Nice. Look at that. This is not for chump change. This is not, oh my goodness, they got a water field going on. Yeah, I definitely can see myself sitting in that tub reading Proverbs. Yeah. Water feature. Ooh, this is nice. Look at that. Then we can have Sunday school here. What do you think? Have church at my house. Nice. Now, we take this for granted, but this is a database. And these are bits of data. There's a query that we've run here. And it's given us a result. And it's 2.4 million. Now, we've taken the tour. The question is, can we afford it? So we've got their estimate, and they've got, look at that, got a little data chart for us. Shows where it's at. It's price over time. It was listed, then removed. And the estimated monthly cost for this jewel is $13,313. If we can find 50 friends, it's ours. And I get dibs on the pool. A database. Not bad, huh? Work hard. We can go look for those. The point being that we can refine these searches down to where we really got something as we pull them down and put them together. Now, if you take a look at page 96, I want to show you something. Okay, as I promised you, I'm going to keep you till about 7:15, 7:30. Because there's a certain point where I'm tired of you and you're tired of me. And frankly, I want to get home so I can watch the third installment of Country Music, Ken Burns' documentary. And been watch it? Shame on you. How many of you folks have ever heard bluegrass in your life? Are there any bluegrass fans in here? Okay. How many of you know who Roy Acuff is? Flatt and Scruggs? Are there any country music fans in here? None? I don't believe this. Y'all don't like country music? My dog died. The truck broke down. Mama's gone. No? Shame on you. You're not. What kind of music? Okay, I know. You like that music about Kill Grandma. I understand that. Got that one? That's his hit song. What kind of music do you like? If you don't like country, what do you like? Is there any particular type you like? I mean, anybody here a fan of Frank Sinatra? Okay. Dean Martin. How about Taylor Swift? Justin Bieber, whatever his name is, Justin. Any Justin fans? Who are you fans of? Are you ashamed to admit it because they make dirty lyrics and stuff? It's okay. It's between us. It's recorded. I'll turn you in. All right. Well, we went nowhere there. Great music. We're going to look at we're going to page 96 and take a look at what's going to happen here. We start with the beginning table. I want you to notice something. Tables tend to be tall and thin. We almost always have more records, that is rows, than we do dimensions, that is columns. And then we're going to take those, we have the beginning table, and then we're going to insert some literals, and we'll show you what those literals are, and then we're going to get a result table, and we'll extract that data. Now let's look over at page 97, and I'll show you what a literal is. And that's going to be 3.7. Okay? Now, that's 3.5, excuse me. Thought that didn't look right. It's not. The literal is excellent worker, 10 is the rating, January 2001. So we're going to collect that one. And we're going to click create. And we'll go to query design. And we'll close it. We're going to run it. And away we go. Here we go. Got the literals. We insert those in. Those things that are in those things that are in the single quotes are the literals. We just injected. We wrote in what we wanted. That's why we call it a literal. Not a big deal. Are you bored? You can be honest with me. If you are, I'm doing my job. If you're sweating bullets, I'm not doing my job. Right now, you got to be going, okay, you can't read the code, you put it in, boom. Now, at the end of the course, I'll ask you to write some code, which will be a little bit different. Right now, this is kind of like karaoke, isn't it? I give you a tune, we play the tune. At the end of the course, I'll say, karaoke time's over. Everyone in the bar is drunk. Now it's time for you to sing for your din-din. Are there any entertainers here? Music majors? None? Any entertainers? Wannabe entertainers? Comics? Singers? Bouncers? I don't go to them places, Dr. Harmon. I have no idea what they are. I want to be a Baptist deacon. Good for you. I don't believe you, but that's okay. All right. So I'm going to save this. This is going to be query 3.5. And again, I've used these literals, and that's where I put this I interjected. Excellent worker, 10 is a rating, and I used that 10 is a rating, and then 01 January 2011, and then no is the next evaluation from the employees table, and I ordered it by the employee ID, so I put it in that. So that's going to be 3.5. Let's run that, Jewel. Okay. Now, we've gotten to the point where we've started writing in, those are the literals, the kinds of stuff we want to show up in our results set. And we can see the results set at the bottom, page 97. Page 99 is real important. Look at that. We're to page 99 in your textbook. You see the beginning table, and then we're going to use a table of constants. This is going to be like names of states or the name of a company, something that doesn't change very often, but stays the same. And we're going to learn about using that. So it shows a beginning table. Then we have a table of constants that we draw from that. And the result is we get a result table where we select the data we want from that one single table because we've created it with the other two. And I'll show you what we're going to do. Look over on page 100. You've already done 100 pages. That's how easy this is. And I'm going to go over and find query 3.6. Now we have a table called section SEC 306. Okay? And this is a table of constants, and you can go look at what the table is in there, and we're going to run this and see what we get in terms of our output. So I'm going to select employee ID, the last name, the evaluation, the rating, the evaluation date, the next evaluation from the employees, and then the constants and order by employee ID. Okay, and I'm going to click Control, and then I'm going to run that query. Now, we haven't done the one thing we should have tonight, and I'm disappointed in you that you didn't. I thought when I came in, I thought when I came in here to this evening about 5:20, because I was so pumped about getting to be with you again, I thought I'd find all of you in here chanting, "Run, Forrest, run. Run, Forrest, run. Run, Forrest, run." Now, if you've seen the movie, how many of you have seen the movie? Okay, what football team who did he play for? Alabama. And when Forrest would get the kickoff, they'd say, "Run, Forrest, run." And then as he approached the goal line, they'd say what? "Stop, Forrest, stop." So Forrest would stop. He'd run a touchdown. Now, we're going to kind of do the same thing here when we work with this table and we run this type of query. So I'm going to go down to the SQL view. And I'm going to run the query. Now, let's look at what I've got. I've gotten the employee ID, their last name, their evaluation, their rating, an evaluation date when it occurred and when the next evaluation is going to occur. And I've gotten that from the employees table and the constants table, and I've ordered it by employee ID. That's 3.6. Now we're going to go over and take a look at that constants table. So I'm going to save this as 3.6. Okay. Now let's look at the table constants and open it up. Okay. Now here's a business name. Okay. And I've got the business date and a lunch budget and the owner name. That's what we call a table of constants because it's not going to change very often. I could also have a table of constants, for example, like my prices. That would be another one of them. And it might be a constants table, might be the distance between a couple of the distance in terms of miles from one of my stops in a route to another. We use a constant in math, same thing that we do here. Now there's a very eminently practical idea behind all of this. So I want something that's really practical for mine. Okay, I'm going to show you. Here's the dating tip. All right. Here you are when you're dating. This is you Okay. And this is your, well, I don't know what you call each other now, boyfriend, girlfriend, sweet pea, my main squeeze. I don't know. You see, isn't that sweet? Now, here's dating. You see what they let you see, and they see what? What you let them see. It's called an intersection. Remember this from geometry? Way back there? So when you're dating, it's intersection. You see the best, they see the best. Then, here's marriage. It's called a union. Here's you, and here's sweet pea. Your honey. And it's all, so every bad habit you have and every bad habit they have is all mixed together. You find out she has an Uncle Fred that gets drunk every Christmas. And it's just like Christmas with the Cranks at her house. Yee! So all the anticipation that builds up to that moment, when ladies, you earn that valued MRS degree, excuse me. And gentlemen, when you go up there and your life flashes in front of your eyes and the pastor says, now, here's the ring, it symbolizes, and it goes on your finger. Your wife put, here's a ring, it symbolizes you're together forever, for better or worse. Your knees are knocking, your life's going in front of you. And your bride's there, and she's smiling up at you, looking really pretty. And your parents are in back, and you hear your mama say, if he says anything except yes, I'm going to kill him. And suddenly the magic occurs. Well, you're married. And when we get a union, we got all kinds of elements going on. So there's lots of practical stuff here. For now, I know what you people are doing. You go out on these dating sites and look around, troll around and find people. You put up pictures of yourself that are 10 years old, or you put stuff about yourself that's really not true. I don't know about it. Don't sit there and look at, don't give me the innocent look. I know what you're doing. Or you're going to the dances over here at the GCC and the same people thinking and hoping it will be better next time. And then you learn the definition of insanity is what? Repeating the same behavior over and over and over. You're in those formative years. And then there will be that moment after you've had one or two bad experiences, maybe you have a good one, maybe you meet the right person at the right time, and it's forever time. You'll meet that person and you know it's them. You'll know. You'll know. Anybody married here other than me? Anybody engaged? Engaged people. Oh, we're all playing the field, eh? Ah, I see. We're all free agents out there. Okay. Now I understand. Have your parents started saying, when are you going to get married and have a family? You doing that stuff? Yeah, they'll do it till you're about 30, and then they'll start asking other questions like, are you okay? You stick to your guns. You find the person that you know God sent you to torture or torture you. My wife and I, it was a storybook romance. After I let her out of the basement after about 3 months, she was ready to marry me. It worked just fine. You don't believe me, do you? Shame on you. You think I'd be pulling your legs? I'm not. Okay. We're working with some constant values. They walk us through some issues like punctuation. Take a look at the bottom of page 104, and they're going to show you some of the differences between Access and Oracle. In Access, when we want to use text or treat something like text, we use double quotes, and we can use a supplier name. And I'm going to look at this for here. I think this is 3.7. And I want to show you something here for a minute. All right. Let's look at this fourth line. Now here I'm saying, or the supplier name is like asterisk and. So I'm looking for anybody whose supplier name is whatever and something. The asterisk says wild card on the first name before and the next one. So if it was like the supplier name is like Kruger and Harmon, you all know who Kruger is? Freddie? You know, like this, we're social media friends. You check, I bet if you check your syllabus in there, which most of you probably have it, you might see a picture with him and me. We did a bro thing. We've had a bromance a long time. Freddie Kruger and I, it's like that. Elm Street, that's my hood. I mean, you know who Freddie Kruger is? A few of us. Okay. So they show us how I can use the quotes. I can use some things like if you look at the supplier name here, we're looking for anything where it has a, like Johnson's or Swinson's, because I see the double quote, and then I see the asterisk, and then I see the single quotation mark, the apostrophe, and then boom, another wild card, and then the single quote. Let's run this and see what we get, because we're going to be playing with the suppliers table. Okay. And so I'm going to click create, and I'm going to create a query, create design, more, and SQL. Here we go. You ready? I'm going to run it. And here's the Allison Ray's Restaurant, Frank and Sons, Frank Reed's Vegetables, and Jim Parker's Shop. As we understood how to use the quotes, how to use punctuation. And that one is going to be, I'm going to save that as 3.7. Now, I try to be somewhat selective, because later on down the road, you're going to get a chance to run some of these. And the authors are going to walk you through using lowercase, uppercase, teaching you about case sensitivity. Let's take a look at page 121. Okay. You're going to see 3 different situations where the statement's true. We're going to select the first one. We're going to select everything from the foods table where the price increase is 20 cents, and we're going to order it by the menu items. Then we're going to show it where everything is false. And notice where we select everything for the foods table, but in this case, we're not going to select everything where the price increase is greater than 20 cents, and we're ordered by the menu item. So it's false. We use the not. And then the third time, we're going to show where the null, and we're going to look for anywhere where we select from the foods table, everything from it, where the price increase is null. There's no price increase entered, and we're going to order it by menu item. these are what we would call templates of code, bits and pieces of code where I just do a little bit of editing with the code, but I get 3 distinct results. And there's the three different queries. As you can see, we start with the select, and then we end up with the semicolon. So where we start out at the start, where we began here at the start of the textbook, we're talking about these conditions. Here we have 1 true, 1 false, and 1 null. And they show us the result, the beginning table, and they show us the result sets running over on page 121 and 122. Let's take a look at page 129. And I want to show you the code there and the beginning table at the bottom of page 129, okay? And this is 318, so let's go down and to take a look at the code. It'll be a little bit easier for you to follow it. And then we're going to pretty much get ready to end that. This is the first attempt. Here's the second. Here's the, we want the with error message, and we want the correct one. Select the ID, first name, last name. And access, okay. Now, if you take a look, this is just dealing with the punctuation stuff. These are some of the nuances between Access and Oracle. Between, and you'll see on the date here for Access, we use the hashtag, and for the hire, so we're after everybody who's hired between the 1st of January 2008 and the 31st of December 2008. So everybody's hired during that year. And we've got that data we're getting. So let's, I mean, you can see it for yourself. But the differences between the two, they show you that in Oracle, they use a single quote. In Access, you use a hashtag. That's all that's going on there. Okay? Then they finish the chapter off. So what I want you to do right now is save this as, and you want to save the file because we've whipped through chapter 3 pretty well, and save it as SQL Fun LD3, and you want to put it in the desktop, okay, on your desktop, and you want to save it and upload it. The workshop credit. Got it? So we took a trip through this. I try to give you what I think are the highlights and the stuff that will be of some use to you. Now, before I get us out of here, I got about 5 or 10 minutes at the very most more I want to show you. I always try to provide you not only just some of this stuff, but some things that will help you put it into a larger context. And I want you to take a look for a moment at this resource I've got here in terms of the visual information seeking mantra. So what in the world are you talking about? Okay. If we can take data, we use a database to create some information. We can then take that information, as I've shown you, we export it to something like Excel, okay? And we can visualize it. Now let's see if they're going to give us this file or this file go away from me. Okay, you little weasel. I have to go back and find that again. It's died on me. That's no good. I should have checked it sooner. Now, this is from ZDNet, which is a publication and trade publication out there. And they're talking about what the folks at Google, Amazon are doing with your databases and how they utilize your data. Now, I want to show you something. If you're looking at the screen, you're following me, you just saw ZDNet wants to what? Give me some cookies. They want me to give them permission to follow me because it will help the website page load faster the next time I'm back, or I can block them. Okay. This is a query. I'm going to choose to allow them or block them. I'm going to block them. Okay. And they're going to give you some information. It helps put this in a much larger context in the sense of how they're using these databases to get a picture of consumers, markets, etc. And they're doing it at a tremendous speed. These are tools that are just, again, changing how folks do business. So that's a resource that I really would like you to see, okay? And go back here and I'll get back into my digital portal. Pop myself out of Canvas there like an idiot. Go back over here. I've got a couple more things I want to show you. The amazing thing about this stuff's not that hard, but it is powerful stuff. Here is a link to the 10 most amazing databases in the world. Take a look at that stuff. The DNA index system. You can go out here now and pay, what is it, $100? You can get your DNA profile. They'll tell you, they'll give you, and you can run your profile against another person. How many of you have ever seen that thing? It's on PBS, that guy Henry Gates, I think is that his name, that finds people and follows their ancestors back. Are any of you interested in your ancestors, your family tree, where you came from? You could get these DNA kits and they'll tell you what part of the world you came from. Everybody has a unique DNA pattern. And you can take your DNA and someone else's and compare it to see, and if you share enough, if you share enough characteristics, you're probably related. You'd be surprised where you're from. The Encyclopedia of Life, the Climate Change Debate Center. Oh, look at that. Oklahoma Cupid's OK Trends. Ooh, that's an interesting one. The Digital Sky Survey Database. The Wayback Machine. The Let's Go Back. And there's the World Catalog. All these are probably, well, they are, most people would say, are the 10 coolest databases in the entire world. The World Cat lets you search for anything, anytime, anywhere. Now, here's a World Values Survey. What are the opinions and the values held by people throughout the world? Here's a nice little cultural map you can pop up. What do the young people your age around the world think about the United States? What do they think about Christians? What do they think about capitalism? How much are they like you? How much are they different? This database will give you some things to take a look at. It's a world, and it's a survey based on what folks hold in terms of a value. We'll take a look at another one. And these are databases that give us some information about what's happening. And here's one that's from the Association of Religion Data Archives. We'll give you all kinds of data about, you can hone in your church where you are. You can look at how many churches are within a 5-minute distance from you, vicinity. They have all kinds of information about church patterns, who goes to church, who doesn't. We know, for example, if somebody has to drive more than 15 minutes to go to church, they won't go to that church. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Good stuff. Well, as I said, there's a lot of good things out here that you can take a look at, and you can upload your DB3 you worked on tonight. And we've gotten a little bit more complex as we've gone along. And that would pretty much do what I'm after. Now, you have two exams this week, POTSI Chapter 5 and POTSI Chapter 6. If you get any funny monkey business in them or something like that, if something doesn't rend, let me know. If you have a question about them, give me a holler. And RUB. Thank you much. Any questions? No? Was it better over here, or would you rather be back in the other room? Better here. Okay. Is that chick fillet? Good choice. So you're our QB, right? And you're walking. That's a good sign. Yeah, you're not all beat up yet.
No, not yet. And he's the captain. Oh my God, he just does it all.
I take it this is your wingman beside you here?
Yes, he's a running back.
He's a running back. He's a good blocker?
And a runner. He's amazing. I'm only good because of him and Noah.
You all enjoying it?
Yes, sir, we are.
Good for you. Good. Good. Take care now.
Yes, sir.
Questions? No? You guys are online playing casino games. You need to stop.
I wish.
He's over there at that ATP poker thing. All righty. Take care now.